Good morning, students. This is in continuation with the chapter Fiber to Fabric, and we were discussing about the processing of wool. In this class, we will study about combing and carding. This is one of the steps under processing of wool. Now, the dried fibers are made to undergo combing and carding. Once the wool fibers have dried, they undergo a process called as combing and carding. Now, these are the two ways by means of which we can prepare the wool fibers for spinning. Otherwise, it is impossible for us to prepare the fibers for spinning. Now, what exactly is this combing and what is this carding? Now, in carding, what happens is, here the fibers are there, no? They are separated. You do have machines for it, or it can also be done by hand. Whereas in combing, metallic brushes are used so that it becomes smooth. And it can be spun into yarns. Suppose if it is rough, then it becomes really difficult. That's why metallic brushes are used in combing, so that we brush the fiber to make it smooth, so that we get a smoother yarn. Next is dyeing. Natural wool is off-white, brown or black in color. So it is dyed to get different colors. So dyeing is done so that we get different colors. Making yarn. Once the processing is done, dyeing is completed, then the clean fibers are straightened, combed and rolled into yarns. So yarns are nothing but the continuous fibers. So after the processing is done, they are rolled into yarn. The long fibers are made into wool for sweaters. So long fibers, they are converted into sweaters, while the short fibers are spun and woven into woolen cloth. Next, moving on to silk. Silk is a strong, shiny, natural protein fiber secreted by the silk larvae. So silk is a natural fiber and it is known for its sheen or shininess. It is the only fiber which is obtained in a form of a continuous filament. In wool we obtain short fibers and long fibers, whereas silk, it is obtained in a form of a continuous length of long fiber, long filament. As per Chinese records, the use of silkworm to obtain this animal fiber began as far as 2700 BC. So this silkworm was used way back as 2700 BC. From such a long time, silkworms are used to obtain the fiber. There are many different types and qualities of silk produced by different varieties of silkworm. So we have different varieties of silkworm. Based on that, the quality of the silk also varies. So these are the different. There are different varieties of silk moth. Based on that, we have all these different types of silk. The most popular one is mulberry silk. Mulberry silk is the most common silk. It is obtained from mulberry silk moth. So this mulberry silk moth, as the name itself tells, it feeds on the mulberry. So let's understand this life cycle of silk moth. First stage is the egg. A female silk moth lays a number of eggs on mulberry leaves. So several eggs are laid on this particular leaf. Second stage is caterpillar. The eggs hatch into tiny larvae called caterpillar, or they are also known as silkworms. Now the caterpillars are voracious eaters. It means they eat a lot. They eat mulberry leaves very quickly and grow in size. when a caterpillar is fully grown, it stops eating. So once it is fully grown, it will stop eating the mulberry leaves. Then once it stops eating, what does it do? First it weaves a net around it. Okay. Then it swings its head from side to side in the form of figure 8. Why does it do so? Because during these movements, it produces a substance made up of protein from its salivary gland. First thing is it weaves a net around itself. Then it swings its head side to side so that it can produce a protein from its salivary gland. Now this substance, once it comes in contact with the air, it becomes silk fiber. Along with the net it weaves plus the proteinaceous substance together, it forms a silk fiber. You remember that proteinaceous substance, once it comes in contact with the air, it becomes silk fiber. Soon the caterpillar completely covers itself in silk fiber. This covering is known as cocoon. So the caterpillar has covered itself in the silk fiber, and now this is known as cocoon. The silk fiber is obtained from this cocoon. Next step is pupa. Inside the cocoon, now the caterpillar has changed into pupa. This is an inactive state that slowly changes into an adult moth. So from pupa, the next step is it is getting converted into an adult moth. When fully grown, the adult moth cuts the cocoon and comes out. Next is silkworm breeding. To obtain silk, we need to know how exactly to breed the silkworm. Rearing of silkworm for the production of raw silk is known as sericulture. For 1 mark, it's an important question. What is sericulture? It's nothing but we are rearing the silkworm so that we can get good quality of silk. This is nothing but the sericulture. A female silk moth lays hundreds of eggs. To ensure more eggs hatch, what has to be done? The eggs are washed and incubated. Incubated means we are setting a particular temperature. The temperature is 25 degrees Celsius and 80% humidity. Once you give this particular temperature and this particular humidity is obtained, then the eggs will hatch. Okay, why it has to hatch? So that it get transformed into the next phase. After the eggs are hatched, caterpillars are fed freshly cut mulberry leaves. After eating voraciously, it means after eating a lot of mulberry leaves for 20 to 35 days, the caterpillars are ready to spin cocoons. So they start weaving a net around it after feeding for 20 to 35 days. A proteinaceous substance is secreted by 2 salivary glands in the caterpillar's head. Now, the head, it turns to side, it does that side to side movement and secretes a proteinaceous substance. And this proteinaceous substance is secreted by the salivary gland, which is present in caterpillar's head. And this proteinaceous substance, when it comes in contact with the air, it forms silk filament. The silkworm spins approximately 1.5 kilometer of filament and completely encloses itself in a cocoon. So what is the length of the filament? It is 1.5 kilometers. Under ideal conditions, the silkworm completes making a cocoon in about a week. If you give a proper condition to the silkworm, in about a week it completely make a cocoon in just about a week. There may be variation in the number of days due to fluctuation in temperature and humidity. So there might be slight variation because of the temperature and humidity that is supplied. Once the caterpillar they are inside the cocoon, they change into pupae. That is the next stage. The pupae pass through different stages and changes into an adult moth. However, in sericulture, what is done is pupae are stifled. It means they are heat killed before they can do so. This is because a moth secretes a fluid to dissolve silk so that it can emerge from the cocoon. Therefore, the cocoons are boiled and kept in an oven to kill the pupa inside. So over here, we see that they are killed in a cocoon stage itself. Suppose the pupa changes into an adult moth, then what happens for it to break free? It secretes a fluid that damages the silk filament. That's why they are killed in this particular stage, so that we can obtain the silk fiber. The silk is then obtained from undamaged cocoons by unraveling the cocoons. Means by unwinding the cocoons we obtain the silk filament. However, some pupae are allowed to live to be used for breeding. However, some pupae, they are allowed to live so that we can get adult moth, and then finally they lay eggs and the process continues. That's why few pupae are allowed to live. The heating damages the cocoon and silk becomes of a lower quality. See, the heating should be optimum or appropriate. If you heat too much, the silk becomes gets damaged and we obtain silk of a lower quality. The process of drawing silk fiber by unwinding cocoon and converting into a silk yarn is called reeling. For 1 mark, it is very important. It is nothing but it's a process of drawing silk fiber by unwinding cocoon. The cocoon has to be unwinded so that we obtain this silk. This is nothing but the reeling.